Typically, when you think of a diss track, you think of a rap song. Whether it be Ether by Nas, Hit 'Em Up by Tupac, No Vaseline by Ice Cube, or most recently, Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar. Which is why sometimes it can be a little bit jarring when a non-rap artist, whether it be Taylor Swift or the Beatles, releases their own version of a diss track. So join me today as we look into some of the craziest non-rap diss tracks of all time, starting off with Obsessed by Mariah Carey. Real quick, I wanted to say I thought it'd be fun to look into some songs that aren't rap songs but are still dissing other artists with some cool stories. And this is definitely not all of them, I just have a few. So if you guys enjoy this video, let me know in the comments if you want a part 2 down below. And also, I've been putting my videos on Spotify if you're interested in that, so check that out too. I think that's all the updates I have for you guys though, so let's jump into it. So Mariah Carey is best known for her song All I Want for Christmas Is You. But apart from that, she had an extremely successful career and has even been dubbed by Guinness World Records as the Songbird Supreme. So that's why it may be a little bit surprising that she actually had a song that was a diss track towards Eminem, and it became one of her biggest songs. It all started in 2001 after the two were working together on her album Charm Bracelet. Eminem eventually claimed that a romantic relationship developed for a few months, which Mariah denied. Then in 2002, Eminem mentioned her on the song Superman, saying, "What you trying to be, my new wife? What, you, Mariah? Fly through twice." Then on the song When the Music Stops, he said, "What the f you take me for? A joke? You smoking crack? Before I do that, I'd beg Mariah to take me back." Mariah responded on the song Clowns, saying, "You should have never intimated we were lovers when you know very well that we never even touched each other." Mariah continued to deny the fact that there was any actual relationship between the two, while Eminem continued to say there was.
Speaking of mobs, how about Eminem?
What about him?
Do you date him?
No.
Where was that printed?
That was printed everywhere.
And you didn't date him at all?
I hung out with him. I spoke to him on the phone. I think I was probably with him total of 4 times. And I don't consider that dating somebody.
Regardless of whether or not it was true, the two continued going back and forth in songs for quite some time. Things got worse when Nick Cannon got married to Mariah Carey in 2008, which prompted Eminem to go at Nick in 2009 on the song Bagpipes from Baghdad, where he said, "Mariah, whatever happened to us? Why did we have to break up?" Followed by, "Nick, you had your fun. I've come to kick you in your sack of junk." Nick responded in a long-winded Tumblr post, but arguably one of the biggest tracks to come of this feud followed, and that was Mariah Carey's song Obsessed. Many listeners don't know this, but the song Obsessed and the music video were actually targeted directly at Eminem. She talked about how M was saying they dated and referenced his drug use as well in the first verse. I think the most direct Eminem mention here is when she says, "Telling the world how much you miss me, but we never were, so why you trippin'?" And then, of course, in the chorus, she goes, "Why you so obsessed with me? And boy, I want to know. Lying that you're sexing me when everybody knows it's clear that you're upset with me." But I think what was most obviously directed at Eminem was the music video. In the video, you can see a guy in a baggy hoodie and a baseball cap, which is a style Eminem is known for, following Mariah around. On top of that, he's also seen in a room with like a ton of pictures of her. Basically, she was depicting him as some sort of freaky stalker. So clearly this was about Eminem. And let's be honest, she made a banger out of this diss track. After this, Eminem said in an interview he wanted to move on. He said, "I really don't want to talk about her anymore. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse." Although he did continue going for Nick and even mention her eventually. Regardless of who you think won though, it's crazy to think that such a huge song is actually a diss track. And if you thought that was surprising, it's probably even crazier to think that Sweet Home Alabama was sort of a diss song as well. It turns out that Sweet Home Alabama was written in response to a few tracks by the artist Neil Young. Now this was never really an angry, hate-fueled feud like Mariah Carey and Eminem might have been, but it was definitely an interesting dispute. In the early 1970s, Neil Young had expressed his issues with racism in the South of the United States in the songs Southern Man and Alabama. This wasn't too long after the civil rights movement ended, so this was an especially big topic at the time. On Southern Man, he said things like, "Southern man better keep your head, don't forget what your good book says. Southern change gonna come at last, now your crosses are burning fast." On Alabama, he said, "Windows down in Alabama, see the old folks tied in white robes." Because of this, the band lynyrd Skynyrd wasn't too happy, so they decided to write the track Sweet Home Alabama in response, which becomes a bit more clear when you look at the lyrics in detail. In verse 2, they say, "Well, I heard Mr. Young sing about her. I heard old Neil put her down. I hope Neil Young will remember, a Southern man don't need him around anyhow." And I think the message that they were going for in this song is that a true Southern man is against racism, and they weren't too happy about Neil Young generalizing the entire South. This is further backed up in the third verse when they say they are openly opposing one of Alabama's racist governors. Although, to be fair, the guitarist who said he co-wrote the song contradicted this claim, instead saying he supported the governor, so who really knows? Like I said though, while they disagreed, eventually the lead singer of lynyrd skynyrd, Ronnie Van Zant, said that there was no actual beef. He said, "We wrote Sweet Home Alabama as a joke. We didn't even think about it. The words just came out that way. We just laughed like hell and said, ain't that funny. We love Neil Young, we love his music." So as many fans tend to do, they definitely over speculated at the time on how big of a divide there was between both Neil and lynyrd skynyrd.
Ronnie told me that Neil Young and Ronnie were going to get together and write a song, but Ronnie was killed, and so they couldn't. I get goosebumps thinking about the song that Neil and Ronnie would have written. I knew Ronnie, and I knew that Ronnie loved Neil Young. It's as simple as that. He respected him as a singer, songwriter. He was just addressing the one issue, which is don't blame all Southern men for a few that have racist views.
Years later, Ronnie had tragically passed away in a plane crash, along with other members of the group, so they were never fully able to resolve what the public thought was a feud, or at least get the chance to collaborate. A band called the Drive-By Truckers actually wrote an entire song called Ronnie and Neil, explaining the misunderstood friendship between the two. In 2012, 35 years later after Ronnie had passed, Neil admitted that he didn't like the lyrics of that song and how he was sort of generalizing the entire South. He said, "I don't like my words when I listen to it. They are accusatory and condescending, not fully thought out, and too easy to misconstrue." After the tragic plane crash, Neil even played Sweet Home Alabama at some shows to pay tribute to Ronnie and the others who passed away. So clearly there weren't too hard of feelings over what some people have labeled the biggest diss track of all time. And while it might not have technically been a diss song, it definitely has an interesting deeper meaning that a lot of us probably weren't aware of. But one thing that Taylor Swift fans are definitely aware of is her feud with Kanye and the Kardashians. This ongoing feud between Taylor Swift and the Kardashians has resulted in quite a few diss songs from Taylor Swift, which to some may be quite surprising. But what probably isn't surprising is that it all started because of Kanye. Taylor Swift and Kim Kardashian used to get along pretty well, with Kim saying that she was a big fan. Of course though, Kanye famously interrupted Taylor's speech at the VMAs years ago.
"So thank you so much for giving me a chance to win a VMA award.
Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. One of the best videos of all time.
This upset Taylor, understandably so, and caused a lot of problems. However, they were eventually able to patch it up. That was until Kanye put out the song Famous in 2016, where he said, "I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex. Why? I made that bitch famous." Kanye claimed that she knew about this line and that they had a phone call where they discussed it and she said it was cool. But then a representative for Taylor claimed that that wasn't true. So Kim Kardashian stepped in with an interview with GQ saying she totally approved that. She totally knew that that was coming out. She wanted to all of a sudden act like she did. "I swear, my husband gets so much shit for things when he really was doing proper protocol and even called to get it approved." Then Kim posted a video of the conversation between Ye and Taylor. It wasn't the full video, but it did show them talking about the "I might have sex still" line or whatever. Taylor got pretty upset at this, quickly responding saying, "Where's the video of Kanye telling me he was going to call me that bitch in this song? It doesn't exist because it never happened. Of course I wanted to like the song. I wanted to believe Kanye when he told me that I would love this song. I wanted us to have a friendly relationship. I would very much like to be excluded from this narrative, one that I've never asked to be a part of since 2009. This led to Taylor releasing her own diss track in 2017 called Look What You Made Me Do. On the song, she said things like, "I don't like your little games, don't like your tilted stage," which is a direct reference to Kanye's stage during the Life of Pablo tour. She then said, "The role you made me play of the fool, no, I don't like you. I don't like your perfect crime." She also seemingly dissed Katy Perry on this song as well, but we're not going to get into that. Then on her album Reputation, she threw a few more shots saying things like, "I never trust a narcissist, but they love me. If a man talks shit, then I owe him nothing." She then goes after their relationship, calling Kanye shady. Years later, Taylor even titled a song Thank You Amy with the letters K-I-M capitalized, and the Amy in the song is portrayed as this bully, with Taylor yelling "fuck you Amy" in the song. Eventually the full phone call was leaked, but the bitch part wasn't discussed. And then in 2023, Taylor even claimed that this was a career-ending situation. claiming that she thought she was canceled. And this definitely was a big deal, and it's crazy to think that Taylor Swift has a few diss tracks out there, even though they're quite subliminal. And while this was a big deal, arguably an even bigger deal was when the Beatles found themselves in a bit of a diss battle after the band broke up. There were multiple reasons why the Beatles broke up, but a lot of fans tend to blame John Lennon and his wife Yoko Ono. And one reason is because of the feud Paul McCartney and John Lennon had after the breakup of the band. Before it went into songs, Paul McCartney had disrespected John and Yoko Ono by putting up these advertisements in newspapers of them dressed up as clowns. They were also wrapped in a bag in it. It was just like an edited photo, and it was just to make fun of them, which is pretty funny. I can't find the actual picture, but I saw multiple credible sources saying that this happened. Then, after the Beatles officially broke up in 1970, Paul McCartney released a song the following year called Too Many People. On this song, he said, "Too many people going underground." People believe this was about John because he had been inspired by Yoko Ono to delve into the emerging underground avant-garde world. And on top of that, John later admitted, "Too many people going underground? Well, that was us, Yoko Ono and me." Later on the track in the chorus, Paul said, "That was your first mistake. You took your lucky break and broke it in two. Now what can be done for you?" Ironically enough, Paul later said the original line was, "Yoko took your lucky break and broke it in two." John was upset about this line in particular because it made it seem like him meeting Paul was his lucky break, and then when they broke up, he just threw it away. He would later say in an interview with Playboy, "There was a few digs on his album before mine. He's so obscure other people didn't notice them, but I heard them. I thought, well, I'm not obscure. I just get right down to the nitty gritty." And so John Lennon did. Just a few months later, John Lennon released the track How Do You Sleep, one of the first mainstream diss tracks in the music industry. In the first verse, John says, "So Sgt. Pepper took you by surprise," which is John calling out Paul for thinking he was the best of the bunch. That's because the Beatles album Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was mostly Paul's idea, and he knew it would do well, but when it did do well, he acted all surprised and modest. Paul also was apparently a bit of a stickler when he was the one producing an album, whereas when John was running the show, he allowed for a lot more freedom. Regardless, another pretty direct line was, "The only thing you done was yesterday, and since you're gone, you're just another day." Yesterday is a song that McCartney wrote very early in the Beatles' career and became one of the biggest songs they'd ever make. So basically, John is saying that Paul fell off since then and hasn't made good music since. My favorite line, though, is in the third verse where he says, "The sound you make is muzak to my ears," which is really funny because muzak is the genre of music that's like background music or elevator music. Another thing that hurt Paul about this song is that it also featured a guitar solo from George Harrison, the ex-lead guitarist of the Beatles. So it really goes to show how big the divide was between the bandmates. Eventually, Paul said that this song was very hurtful, so it was sad to see the GOATs going out like this. And while the Beatles broke up because of artistic differences and control issues, there's actually a similar reason as to why The Weeknd has beef with Drake. Okay, now I know The Weeknd makes a lot of hip-hop adjacent songs or associates with rap artists heavily, but he is not a rapper and he will sing you the most beautiful diss you've heard in your life, which is why I decided to include him on this list. The Weeknd and his issues with Drake all started in 2011 after the two met. The Weeknd was on the come up and Drake was supporting his career. They worked together a lot early on, and The Weeknd even wrote 4 of the songs on Drake's album Take Care. It was clear that Drake wanted to sign The Weeknd, and he said it often.
"This is forever the first artist that OVO ever had and still has, and OVO XO is alive forever, I promise."
But that would be turned on its head when The Weeknd signed with Republic Records in September of 2012, which clearly upset Drake. He said on Twitter, "You won't get away with just a thank you, you owe me a favor." Eventually though, The Weeknd kind of made it seem like Drake was trying to use his talents and possibly even stole some of his songs. That's because in a 2015 interview with Rolling Stone, The Weeknd said, "I gave up almost half of my album. It's hard. I will always be thankful. If it wasn't for the light he shined on me, who knows where I'd be, and everything happens for a reason. You never know what I would say if this success wasn't in front of me now." Then to top off this drama, Drake started dating The Weeknd's ex-girlfriend Bella Hadid. Then The Weeknd got back with her after that. So clearly the two artists had a couple of reasons as to why they might have some sort of anger towards one another. There was a moment in 2017 where it seemed like they were cool again, but some stuff must have continued going on behind the scenes, because in 2019, The Weeknd took to his music to diss Drake. In his song Lost in the Fire, he said, "And I just want a baby with the right one, cause I would never be the one to hide one." This is a reference to Drake and Pusha T's beef where Pusha T revealed that Drake had a son. This incident with Push led to Drake responding in a track later that year saying, "I wasn't hiding my kid from the world, I was hiding the world from my kid." So The Weeknd was taking a very clear and direct shot at Drake. It seemed like Drake was trying to patch things up and they were even seen hanging out together in 2022. But then in 2023, Drake dissed The Weeknd back by saying, "My playing P&D in them shorties don't listen to The Weeknd. And right after this, the big rap, Kendrick versus Drake, rap civil war, all that stuff started to take place. Metro Boomin and Future released 2 big diss albums towards Drake, and The Weeknd had quite a few features. The most direct line was on the song All to Myself when The Weeknd said, "They could never diss my brothers when they got leaks in the operation. I thank God that I never signed my life away. And we never do the big talk, they shooters making TikToks. Got us laughing in the Lambo." This line references a few things like OVO affiliates spilling the beans to Pusha T about Drake's son and how The Weeknd is glad he never signed to OVO. And the reason I had to include him in this list is because if you listen to the songs, it's just so funny hearing him sing these beautiful disses to Drake, which is quite unconventional because, you know, normally you want to sound tough or aggressive, but that's not how The Weeknd does it. Drake actually made fun of this later on the song Family Matters, saying, "Knew it was smoke when Abel hit us with the serenade. He said, almost started reaching for my waist." Drake had a few more responses, but the only one I want to highlight here is where he said, "Weeknd's music getting played in all the spots where boys got a little more pride." So yeah, I had to include The Weeknd on here because I thought it was a pretty entertaining beef. And another pretty entertaining guy that you wouldn't quite expect to diss someone is Weird Al Yankovic. If you're unfamiliar with Weird Al Yankovic, he's a comedy musician who writes parodies of other songs. And I'm not too familiar with the realm of parody music, but I'm pretty sure he's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, parody artist of all time. Most of his parodies are friendly and goofy, but he made one with a bit more disdain for Billy Ray Cyrus, specifically his song Achy Breaky Heart. Typically in Weird Al's parodies, he'll take a song and give it a new goofy meaning, but when he did a parody of Billy Ray Cyrus's Achy Breaky Heart, he just tore into how much he hated the song. The parody was called Achy Breaky Song, and in the track he lists a ton of artists he'd rather be tortured with, such as New Kids on the Block or Vanilla Ice. Then he says, "But Mr. DJ, please, I'm begging on my knees. I just can't take no more of Billy Ray. Don't play that song, that Achy Breaky Song. The most annoying song I know. And if you play that song, that Achy Breaky Song, I might blow up my radio." Later in the song, he says some more artists he'd rather listen to and that he'd rather have someone scrape their fingernails on a chalkboard or tie him to a chair and kick him down some stairs. Fans have said things like, "It cannot be overstressed how much sheer radio play the awful original got." And Al is 100% spot on here. You could not escape this song. It was just everywhere, all summer. Every store and loudspeaker and group function seemingly had to play it twice an hour at minimum. Weird Al did note on the album this song was on that the song was very mean-spirited, so all of the proceeds would be donated to the United Cerebral Palsy Association. The original songwriter of Achy Breaky Heart, Don Von Tress, also said that the song was overly mean-spirited. Funnily enough though, years later Billy Ray did this terrible, even worse remix with a rapper named Buck22, and the genius description of the song is, "The song you never wanted to hear is here. The end of music is here." So while there isn't too much to this story, it's funny that the usual goofy and happy Weird Al had such a problem with this song and made such an aggressive song towards Billy Ray. However, Weird Al was still having fun on his track. But Sabrina Carpenter was actually pretty upset with her fellow pop star Olivia Rodrigo in her diss song. The drama between Olivia Rodrigo and Sabrina Carpenter all started over a love triangle with fellow singer and actor Joshua Bassett, and I'm sure all of you guys wanted to hear about a love triangle today. Basically, when Olivia Rodrigo co-starred alongside Joshua Bassett on High School Musical, fans noticed that they kind of liked each other, and then they stopped posting together, and then he started posting with Sabrina Carpenter. So obviously, yeah, a little bit of drama going on. Fans are like, why are you guys talking to the same guy? This is when Olivia dropped her song Driver's License, which was a huge smash hit and went 6 times platinum and broke a ton of records. But fans also pointed out some lines that were allegedly directed at Sabrina, saying, "And you're probably with that blonde girl who always made me doubt. She's so much older than me. She's everything I'm insecure about." Listeners instantly connected the dots because Sabrina is blonde and 4 years older than Rodrigo. Apparently the original version was going to say brunette instead of blonde, but then it was changed because a producer said it was better for syllables and whatever.
Yeah, I think that was the fun part about kind of finishing up the song with Dan, is getting his opinion on like little things like that.
But no one really accepted this excuse and figured that it was just a diss at Sabrina. Joshua Bassett also put out a song kind of in response to all this, but no one really cares about him. What people really cared about is when Sabrina eventually put out a song called Skin. And in the end of the first verse, Sabrina says, "Maybe then we could pretend there's no gravity in the words we write. Maybe you didn't mean it. Maybe blonde was the only rhyme." And her new boyfriend Joshua also supported this song on his social medias. However, Sabrina quickly took to social media to dispel the rumors that this was written in response to Driver's License. But when you look at both songs right next to each other and the diss lyrics, it's pretty obvious that they are. And during an interview with Ryan Seacrest, for some reason, he asked Sabrina Carpenter about the song's inspiration, where she attempted to put all the rumors to rest.
There are rumors that it is a response to a lyric in Olivia Rodrigo's song Driver's License. Is that true? Is there any validity to that?
I mean, it's also just not my place to say. I think a lot of people were sort of pointing fingers. And so at the end of the day, like, I was dealing with what I was dealing with internally. And the only way I ever know how to deal with things is to write about it. I mean, like, I literally write about getting sued. So like, I don't know why it came as such a shock to people, but it definitely, was something that, you know, in this day and age and what everyone's going through in life right now, I've dealt with this experience over and over and over again of people trying to get to me and me allowing myself to let them get to me.
And that's getting under your skin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's funny because a lot of people were like, well, isn't that defeat the purpose? And I was like, no, I mean, it genuinely, like, things do get under my skin, things have. And that was kind of why I felt the need to write the song.
And I'll be honest, this beef to me is a lot less interesting. However, I know a lot of pop fans are out there, so I wanted to put this in here for you. And it is a pretty big deal. I mean, they are two of the hugest pop artists in the game, so crazy they had a little diss battle. If you like this video, you might like my video about some of the biggest marketing fails in the music industry, where Taylor Swift and some others had some cool promo ideas that resulted in them getting trolled pretty hard. Anyway, though, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like and even consider subscribing down below. Other than that, it's been your boy Matty Balls, and I'll see you guys next time.